Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I am gonna do a little book haul because I have been pretty good, honestly, about buying books or not buying books, but recently I went on a trip to Washington for the weekend, went to a bookstore, and then the other day I was, next to a bookstore, and so sometimes you get in those moods, where you need to buy a book. Or that's what it feels like, and that's the only thing that will fix whatever's going on. And so I have purchased a few books recently, and I just wanted to share them with you. Also, please do forgive the lighting. We're moving into fall, okay? We're moving into fall, but that doesn't mean the lighting is a little bit weird, so please excuse the shadows. But let's just get straight into it. So I bought these first 3 books last month because, you know what? I was swept away. I was swept away by the hype of the show, The Summer I Turned Pretty. So I did buy these. They were in like a box set at Barnes & Noble, and they're really cute. I do love the covers, and I just, sometimes I just want to have an opinion. I just want to have an opinion, and I want to know what it's all about. And so I did buy these. I read them straight through. I've since caught up on the show. Now we're on season 3. I'm up to date, and I do have an opinion. But I'll let you guess what that might be. I'm really enjoying the show. I really am enjoying the show. And it was fun to read these. They're, little YA romances written in like 2010 or something, and that's what they feel like. For what they are, I think they were a fun time. And mostly it was like a fun experience, and I'm glad to be in on it. You know what I mean? I'm glad to be in on what people are talking about. So that's these. The next book I bought, actually the next 3 are from my little recent trip to Washington that I went on with some friends, all of whom were book-loving friends. And so it was really the best time. We did read a little bit. We read a little bit, maybe not as much as we anticipated, but we did some like little book crafts, and we went to a bookstore 2 days in a row because we got there right as they were closing the first day, and we needed some time to be, among the books. And so it was a really fun time, and I got this at the first bookstore we went to, and I can't remember the name. This is a signed copy. Look at that. Cutie little signature there. So I'm reading Raiders of the Lost Heart, and it is a silly, fun time, and I'm liking it enough. I'm almost done, but I'm liking it enough that I wanted to pick up the second one, and I felt good about that. And it was a signed copy, so I just thought I would grab it. The first one is an archaeologist, actually 2 archaeologists, and they are uncovering these ancient ruins, and one of them is related to the person who lived in these ruins. And so I'm not sure what this one is about, but I imagine it's kind of the same sort of idea. So very excited about this one. The next bookstore we went to was called Liberty Bay Books, and the town we were in was it was like a Norse town, and so everything had, like ships and very Nordic stuff all around. There were boats everywhere. So I got this from the Norse section of the bookstore. It's called The Half-Drowned King by Linnea Hartziker, I'm gonna guess. This is described as like Game of Thrones, only more unscrupulous, which really intrigued me. I actually recently finished watching Game of Thrones for the first time. I know. And so this just really piqued my interest. I also have read Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which is also Norse inspired, and I loved that. And so I just really felt up for this. This is a series. I believe there are 2 more books, so it's a trilogy. We have Descendants of Kings, we have Advantageous Marriages, we have, a yearning for more beyond this life, and it just really sounded like something I would enjoy. And so I'm very intrigued by this one. The next one I got was Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. So this is a Japanese translated book, and it's very short, as you can see, And I have heard about this one on the podcast Books Unbound, and it just sounds very cozy. Again, we have a character who is at a turning point in her life. So she's 25 years old and has had a relatively easy existence, but then her boyfriend comes to her one day and announces that he's getting married, but it's not to her, it's to someone else. So I think that sets off the whole story, and then the days in the Morisaki bookshop are where she finds, sort of a new lease on life. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and I'm curious to just see the vibe and see what it's like. All right, the next category is books I've already read, and so it doesn't really even count as buying a book because they're not going on my physical TBR because I've already read them. Do you do that too? Or is that just me? So these books are Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I have obviously heard about this book for a long time and heard about the series, and I have been intrigued because I do love a cowboy. I've always loved a cowboy, and so I was interested in reading about a cowboy and a cowboy romance, and this book was very fun. It follows Clementine Emmy Ryder, who is a barrel racer. She's very good at what she does, and then she has an incident when she's riding and competing, and it's pretty traumatic for her. Like, it shakes her up a lot, and so she doesn't feel like she can ride anymore. Like, she can't even get on a horse without having a panic attack, basically. And so she comes back home to, her small town, and Luke Brooks is Meadowlark's most notorious bad boy, bar owner and bachelor, and he's like an unofficial member of Emmy's family. So like, she grew up around him, but he was her brother's best friend, and so they didn't ever spend like one-on-one time together. He was just always around. But now they're both adults, and they're encountering each other in a new way, and they're spending time together and perhaps falling in love, and maybe he helps her through the hard things that she's experiencing. So this was very fun. I really enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it enough to pick up Swift and Saddled, the next book. I've heard great things about this one. This does follow a character from Done and Dusted, Emmy's brother Wes, and then a new character is the love interest. So very much looking forward to this one. And the next book that I've already read is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren has a great track record for me. This one is about characters who get married in order to secure housing, I believe, and then they end that. They, part ways. It wasn't like they fell in love at the time or anything, so they part ways, but then they never actually got divorced, I'm pretty sure. They're still technically married because they never, submitted that paperwork. And then they have to come back together for an inheritance for one of the characters to secure that. This was very fun. I generally enjoy Christina Lauren books, and so I would really recommend this one. It felt very summery, and it was just a really fun, silly time. Next, I have a fourth book in a series / second book in a duology or duet, and that is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent. So the first two books in this world / series are The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. So those two books follow two characters. And then The Songbird and the Heart of Stone follows two different characters, and this is the follow-up to that book. And I've actually never heard the audiobook for these books, so I don't know if I'm saying the character names correctly. I believe it's Misha and Asar, I'm gonna say, but that is purely a guess. I have not heard them spoken aloud, but I loved the first book, and I really liked the second book in this world. I thought the previous book to this was fine, but I'm still curious enough and like have the lingering good feelings from the first two books to pick this up. It has taken me a little longer with each book to pick it up, and so I am going to get to this. I just am not sure when, but I still do want to know what happens with these characters and how the story develops. So yeah, we'll see. And then I know there are going to be 2 more books after this following different characters as well, so a new duology. So that's that one. Next we have not really a category. I don't really have a category for this one. These next 2 are just books that I picked up literally yesterday. I was at Barnes & Noble because I was next to it and I was in the mood to buy books, and so these are the ones that caught my eye. This first one is People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. I have read a book from this author before, and that was Out on a Limb, and that book, honestly, I feel like is everyone's exception to disliking the surprise pregnancy trope. And while I don't really have a problem generally with surprise pregnancy, sometimes I do, but again, it just depends on how it's done. But I would agree, that book is so good. It's so sweet. And so I've been wanting to read another book by this author, and this one just looks very fall and it looks very cute. We have our main character, Prudence Welch. She has found solace in her introverted life in Baysville, a charming tourist town in northern Ontario. She's dealing with difficult situations with her parents. It sounds like her mother has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so she's dealing with her own stuff. And then we have Milo is our main male character, and it sounds like he is not one to settle down, but they have an unlikely friendship that leads to a wild and sexy agreement between them. So that's really all I need to know. I'm very intrigued. I really enjoyed this author's writing before, so I feel like she can do this well. And the other one is The Raven Scholar. I love this cover. I love a shiny cover. And this is by Antonia Hodgson. It says fiendishly charming and clever, and a labyrinth of a book with a deeply human heart. I'm obsessed. So all of the blurbs on the back just made this sound so good. I've also seen really great reviews from people on YouTube, and so I was just very intrigued by this. The inside flap says, The Raven Scholar is a masterfully woven tale of imperial intrigue from an electrifying new voice in epic fantasy. So, I don't know, all of the descriptions and the endorsements of this just really sold it for me, and I feel like I've needed a new epic fantasy, and so this is gonna be the one. All right, last but not least, we have The Heartbreak Hotel, which was my book of the month choice for this month, by Ellen O'Clover. That's a cute name. This one says, it is a bed and breakfast for the brokenhearted, might hold the key to another chance at love in this achingly hopeful debut romance. I like achingly hopeful. That really sounds good to me. So our main characters are Louisa and Henry, and Louisa's life is in disarray, of course, and she knows losing the one stable place she's ever called home is not an option. And Henry is a reclusive landlord. He offers to let her stay for free in exchange for renting out the house's many rooms as a bed and breakfast. So this sounds great to me. It's a debut, which is exciting. I'm always interested in seeing new authors and, you know, adding authors to my auto buy list. So this sounds really cute. Okay, let me see if I can hold these up for you. Okay. Oh my gosh. Maybe you'd like to see them all together. Oh wow, look at that. Amazing. So these are all the books. Thank you so much for watching. I have to put these down. They're so heavy. Thank you so much for watching this little book haul. Please let me know if you have purchased any books recently or gotten any from your library or on Libby or wherever you get your books. Let me know. And let me know what you're reading too. I would love to hear about that as well. I'm currently reading Mile High by Liz Tom Ford. Yes, I'm starting that series. We're starting lots of series recently, which feels good. It's like there's so much potential There's potential in the air, and that feels great. Okay, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a video coming very soon. Bye!